Hello, welcome. What is good, everyone? Tone here, and we are continuing our current Infra Arcana run. We are a ghoul getting pretty deep into the dungeon here. Let's see where we left off. Death 15. Our insanity is up to 88%. I think that means if I go insane one more time, that we lose. The game will be over. I'm at 30% shock right away, I'm noticing, which is a problem, and I think that's because of this sadistic obsession trait. Um, I did a really brief look. Oh, let's see, including temporary sources, 30%. I wonder if that means I'm always at minimum 30% shock. Because this is a brand new level, I haven't done anything, I'm already at 30%. Is it a dark level? No, it's not dark yet. I just searched this in the source code briefly. I didn't like look at it that far, but it looked like it does something like it increases the shock you gain. It might double it in some cases, but it seems like every time you kill an enemy, it might go down by a tiny bit. So maybe it can work in our favor since we need to not get our shock to 100%. But I have a feeling that it does like the killing enemies to reduce our shock doesn't like outpace the amount of shock it grants us. So I think this could be problematic. Um, yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do because right now it kind of feels like we've already lost. But we'll see how this goes. Hit vipers. Pretty easy enemies to kill. They won't follow us. They might give us our insanity reduction. Hmm. Like, I think if I were to fight all of these bloated corpses, we would lose from the shock gained from it. Like, I need to like really pay attention to stuff like that right now. So I think I'm gonna just try and run from these guys. I don't have the haste spell anymore. Oh, it's just gray or like purpled out, I guess. So I guess the mirror would let me remember that. I'm just gonna run like this though. Let's jam the door shut. We'll double jam some doors. I don't want to use the mirror because it's going to increase my shock. This one, it looks like we'll have to fight. I was hoping to dodge this guy. There we go. I'm also trying not to incite fury. If I can help it, because that increases my shock. Is there a corpse here? Yeah, we need to eat this corpse. Or I guess it's not letting me eat it, so let's just kick it. I was able to eat the corpses like indefinitely before because they were I had wounds. Waterhound. Confused. Not good. I think I have to incite frenzy. Oh, I can't do that while I'm confused, so I would have had to do it beforehand. Well, that's double not good. So if I'm confused and I just want to fight this guy that's next to me, if I accidentally walk, it's going to consume 2 turns, which could become very deadly. Hmm. Looks like Vitality does not cure confusion. Okay, well, I killed one of them. Strike one more time. I think I need to use that Vitality potion here soon. I'm going to do now. Oh my gosh, that sound effect was such a good thing to hear because I removed our death. Okay. I am at 78% shock. Okay, here's the stairs. Oops. I think that means it's time to go. Do we look at what's just in like the bottom of this room? Nothing. All right. Let's just leave. I just have to like bolt through these levels because my shock is so high. We're about to level up as well, so I think I'll take Cool Headed this time, which will reduce the shock gain. Ascend. So we got 5 XP on the new level, which pushes over 100. Like, it's not even really an option. I just take Cool Headed here. Give us some mental shock resistance. That's the thing that's going to kill me before anything else. Bones. This is an interesting level. Briny smell. Seems like we've got some deep ones. Some blood splatter on the walls down there. Keep an eye on my shock. 38. Let's see if it changes when I kill this guy. It dropped to 35. Okay, eating the corpse healed our wound. Getting our hearing back right before this water level seems like a really good thing. Oh wow, I just got entangled here. Although, I wonder if the deep ones make noise in water. I bet you they move swiftly through it and silently. Alright, I'm going to incite Frenzy, I think, because there's multiple guys on the screen. Alright. Tangled, but they're feared. Okay, I got out of that quickly. %46 shock. Jeez. Got double hits on me. Let's see if we can kill them without... Oh, I just got 3 wounds from that guy. Oh my gosh, I'm moving slow because of my wounds. That's really bad. I'm walking slowly. My shock is going to go up faster. I because it just goes up over slowly. It goes up over time. I wonder if I should be using that other vitality potion just to get rid of my wounds right now. Well, maybe I'll be able to heal them off of this guy. Oh shoot, I wasn't untangling. I'm throwing right now. I was waiting for him to get close to me. I think I have to Insight Frenzy now. Okay, Torfree. Still wounded. There's an altar. Okay, he can throw that over the altar. I'm gonna Insight Frenzy. Okay, wound is healed. I think 2 wounds, I shouldn't be walking slowly anymore. Okay, level 2 healing does not heal my wounds. Niduza. A deacon for the deep sea folk, this damnable shaman commands sorcery that backs its kin and racks its foes. It is coated in copper scales which boast of majesty, and disdain is innate to its cold glare. I just walk away from these guys. Wounded again. Okay, I'm gonna use this vitality potion. Oh, that raised my shock on its own. I just felt like walking around slowly with 3 wounds was gonna cause us to gain shock too quickly. No exit up there. I wonder if the exit is through the boss down there. We're gonna lose the game to shock right now. This is unfortunate. I'm gonna Insight Frenzy. I can kill these guys. Ooh, they hit hard. And I'm cursed. Yeah, sanity slipping. It's game over. Insane. My mind can no longer withstand what it has grasped. I am hopelessly lost. So, this was a good learning experience. That was such like a disappointing way to lose. But clearly I was playing the game wrong to get to this point. So I need to figure out how to approach gameplay, combat, um, what have you, in a way where my shock doesn't go up as much. Um, Maybe I need to take cool headed like immediately sometimes. I don't know if part of this was just how the gameplay with the ghoul works, like a rogue where you're like avoiding combat, avoiding enemies, and rogues even get less shock gain from exploring, I believe. Like they won't get shock nearly as much as like I was here, just the way their gameplay is. So maybe just the fact that the ghoul using frenzy and stuff just wants to get into combat more often um, is part of the reason that I was hitting shock and insanity so often. Maybe I need to take like a stealth trait early so I can just like be stealthy and avoid more combats. Playing Ghoul for the first time, I did really want to lean into all of their special traits that they start with, but I think a lot of them like weren't really that necessary. Like our we could have had like pretty good damage without like stacking quite so many of them so early. So if I took like two traits that reduce my mental shock gain, like maybe we would have gotten a little further through there. I was using Frenzy a lot, but I think every time I use it, and I wasn't really paying attention to this at first, it increases our shock. So at a certain point, when you don't think you need Frenzy to survive, I think you don't want to use it because you want to avoid your shock going up. Although being in combat longer than you need to raises your shock too, so I don't really know where the breakpoint is. There's just like a lot of nuance here to like how you manage your shock that I don't think you can like analyze and work out that easily. If it feels like the kind of thing to me, kind of like hunger clocks in a lot of these games, where you just kind of have a good sense of if you're making through the levels fast enough. Like when I play Brogue, I'm not tracking like how many turns I'm like spending doing any action versus how much food I've seen and stuff like that. I'm just like know that doing certain practices leads to me dying of hunger because I was spending too much time doing something. So I think it's kind of like this where, um, I died of insanity here. So I know that in the future, I need to play the game a bit differently. There were a few floors early on where I found the stairs and then I was at like 60-70% shock and I felt like I could leave and come back without having any trouble, and that was not the case. So maybe I need like a rule where I'm like, hey, if you're over 50% shock and you see the stairs, just take them because there's a chance that you leave and come back, you're gonna, gain an insanity level. So I think I made some mistakes pretty early on with that too. Also, I kind of wonder, some of these levels, it looks like they're a bit set pieces. Like, I don't know where the stairs are on this level, but I think just kind of understanding some stuff like that, being able to find the stairs sooner could have helped us. Like, are the stairs going to be behind this guy all the time? So did I make a mistake by running into them earlier and then walking away and then having to come back anyways because I didn't find the stairs still? Maybe I could have avoided this if I just engaged the first time. So those are some things I have on my mind. I was leaning into the healing spell a bit too because it seemed really good for this class, but casting spells increases your shock, so that could have been part of it. So that's what I'll be thinking about next time I play this: is how do I not die of shock when I have a run where I feel like I've gotten far enough that I can handle, like, manage a lot of the monsters around. And I did play this run, like, very different than a lot of the other ones because I had been on my war vet runs and especially my rogue runs. Like, I started like avoiding combat, but as the ghoul, I felt like I couldn't do that as often because I wasn't stealthy enough to avoid enemies. And when I ran into enemies, because I don't have passive health regen, I felt like I needed to use Frenzy. And Frenzy kind of keeps you locked into combat even longer. And combat definitely raises your shock, just because I think you have enemies that are frightening to behold and such in eyesight, that they raise your shock the longer you're in combat with them. I think taking damage raises your shock. So There's just like a lot of stuff to pay attention to. We'll get a breakdown of where all of our shock came from in this run, so I'll probably be able to get a glimpse from that, and maybe we can discern this a little bit more. So let me hit space and go on to the next screen to our game summary. Explore the dungeon to level 16. So 943% shock was from the passing of time. Yeah, the next was 400 from observing creatures. 250 from being harmed, 200 from using items, 300 from casting learned spells, which is probably mostly Insight Frenzy. I think that probably falls under there. So it does seem like a lot of it was just from being on floors too long, so maybe I need to take the exit sooner. There's a balance in the early game, though, where you want, like, when you're in the early game, we need to, like, get value from each floor, because I feel like by the time you're hitting floors 3, 4, 5, the enemies, like, scale up to a degree where we need to have tools to beat them. So I think, especially early on, I don't know if it's the first 5 floors, the first 8 floors, like, I think trying to explore more is worthwhile. But you still need to find that balance where hopefully you don't gain any insanity while doing so. And I did not strike that balance well early on, I don't think. I think there was a point that I realized, like, a little too late, where we were pretty comfortable in combat with a lot of enemies, especially when we had, like, good armor and stuff, and I think just, like, leaving floors early would have been beneficial. Not, like, you know, finding an extra potion or something wasn't going to make or break, like, the run, probably. So figuring out, like, when you can just, like, leave a floor and not worry about it, and when we need to, like, try and get more value from a floor is probably important. And then even that math, like, I'm used to dying pretty early in this game, so I only have 5, 6, 7 floors maybe that I'm trying to play efficiently. So I'm trying to get value out of each one. You can, like, take that formula of, like, trying not to overextend on a level when you already know where the exit is and find items, and extend that over, like, a set of, like, 3 or 4 floors, and say, like, okay, this floor is a loss, but maybe the next floor I'll be able to explore more. So if I continue to get further into the game, then I can look at that a little differently and not have to look at floors in isolation as much, and that might help me you know, see the value in leaving a floor early, even though I don't get like, any items or anything from it. Observing creatures is very high here. A few times I actually wondered if drinking a potion of blindness would have been smart, just so I didn't have to observe creatures. That might be a little hard to avoid with the ghoul as well, because they have dark vision. So that might just be something that you have to deal with as a ghoul. But I bet you there were times where I could have either, like, pulled an enemy around a corner so that I had less enemies in line of sight. Like, I think it was last video, we were fighting all those troglodytes and all the deep ones, and I think my shock just went through the roof just from, like, them being on screen. I should look at that again and see how bad that really was, because I just remember I looked up and I was just, like, extremely high shock out of nowhere. In that particular instance, since I was fighting, there could have just been, like, blood on the walls and stuff, which raises your temporary shock, and maybe I didn't realize it was temporary shock. But this breakdown right here, we're definitely observed too many creatures that were unsettling to behold. I mean, these numbers are all, like, kind of even. I think I probably did a little bit too much of all of them, maybe, but probably not too bad. Except paying attention to when and when not to cast Insight Frenzy will be important. So, just some things that I will need to keep in mind. I think I should run the Ghoul again next time. It was definitely interesting to play. and I think I will play it better next time. Well, that was fun. Infra Arcana is a fantastic game. Yeah, let's look at our traits. By the way, wasn't Indomitable Fury the one that makes you immune to wounds? Immune to wounds. So why was I... Like, wounds are like what killed me on the last level to a major extent. I was fighting with 3 wounds and staggered. So how come I was dealing with wounds still? This line does not mean what I thought it did, because wounds were still an issue. I was actually wondering if I hadn't taken this yet, but I had, or if I was misremembering which trait granted this. But yeah. Oh, Wall Frenzied. Okay, that's why. Was I gaining wounds? Maybe I can gain wounds, but you're immune to the effects while frenzied? That must be how it works. Interesting. Yeah, this wall frenzied line is really important there. I guess you can still gain wounds, but you ignore the effects, which makes sense because this is like Indomitable Fury. It's like it's kind of like a barbarian in D&D or something. Like you go frenzy and you get to ignore pain and stuff. Like that's what this is doing. So I kind of misinterpreted this a bit. It was interesting that as a ghoul, I couldn't use a medical bag. Yeah, cannot use so that's just part. I didn't even realize that because I didn't need to use medical equipment. So it does not regenerate hit points and cannot use medical equipment. It was really hard on that last level to out heal the wounds that we were taking in. I wonder if at some point I was supposed to just like swap to using range weapons, even though the ghouls get a minus 15% hit chance with them. I was kind of ignoring them like altogether because of that, but I wonder if I should have been using range weapons more, because range weapons are how you like avoid a lot of the shock and like attrition to like weapons or to your armor and to gaining wounds and stuff. But I think that's just like the pros and cons of the ghoul is like they get all these like really cool abilities, but then you have to figure out how to deal with like having this ranged weapon penalty and stuff. Oh, look at this. Minus 50% mental shock taken from seeing monsters. And that was still our second biggest cause of mental shock. So they already get like some protection from that to account for their dark vision and stuff. And I still like gained a ton of shock from that. I'm already looking forward to our next run. Figuring like I feel like my whole battle from the start next run is going to be against like mental shock and insanity, which I think is like the area where this game likes to be. Like it is like about cosmic horror, and like keeping your wits about you and insanity. So for me to like be thinking about that from the beginning and that like being like one of the main threats for me to plan around and strategize around is like such a success of this game, I feel. All right, well, I've been rambling enough about this. I'm really looking forward to the next run because I think we can do better. And I learned a lot from this one. So I'm going to leave that here for now. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me throughout this run and sticking through to the end and just joining me here today because this has been a lot of fun. But I am out for now. So check out the links in the description below. You can find my Patreon down there. If you want to show some support for me and my work here, you can do that over at patreon.com/tonehack. You can also find my Discord if you want to come chat with me and the rest of the community there. A lot of great discussions going on there. But otherwise, that is it for now. So thank you guys once again so much for watching today, and I will see you guys for the next one.